Upon the conclusion of summer, I received a giant zucchini as this year's harvest ends. This might be the largest zucchini I've worked with, as it's about as thick as my thigh and the size of a tall baby. I'll use these and one more to prep a big batch of zucchini bread to share and stock up for the long zucchini-less winter. Thank you to John Cannell from Preppy Kitchen for the foundation of this recipe. To start making my big batch of zucchini bread, I'll first need to cut them for grating. The biggest one was rock hard and began to hollow out like a pumpkin. As I cut, the seeds were well developed, unlike me, so I'll carve them away so they don't end up in the final loaves. Then, I'll repeat with the other ones, cutting them in half and carving out the seeds. Now that they're all prepped, I'll start grating them. But since my green girthy gourds are huge, I'm going to use my stand mixer and its shredder attachment to make this process easier. As I was grating the largest one, I noticed that the shreddings were tough in comparison to the other ones, which would create a crunchiness in the bread, so I only ended up using this small sliver to not mess up the texture of the bread. But I'll save the zucchini to make a loaf for someone I don't like. Regardless, I ended up shredding about 36 cups for this batch. In another bowl, I'll crack 9 eggs, add 4.5 cups of sugar, 3 cups of oil, and 1/2 cup of vanilla. I wanted to intensify the flavor, so I'll optionally add 3 tablespoons of molasses. Then, I'll combine all the ingredients until it becomes homogeneous. This can be done by hand with a whisk, but I'm just lazy. As it mixes, I'll grab another bowl and add 1,080 grams or 9 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of baking powder and baking soda, and 2 tablespoons of salt. I really like cinnamon, so I'll add about 1/4 to 1/2 cup. Then, I'll add around 3 tablespoons of nutmeg and tiny whisk. Then, like the hoarder I am, I'll lay out my collection of bowls and figure out how to efficiently combine everything. I'm worried about the ratios being off since all the bowls are different sizes. I'll first move my dry mixture out of my largest bowl, then pour half of the wet mixture into it. I'll divide the zucchini across both bowls and mix it in. Because both bowls were so full, I decided to pour some into a third bowl so the dry mixture can be added without overflowing. I'll divide it equally amongst all 3 bowls. Then, I'll fold it in until homogeneous. Now that I've explained my plan, I want to be more dramatic. Next, I'll call my armada of bread pans and grease each one. I'll fill each of them 2/3 to 3/4 full, and depending on how much I like you'll either get a large one or a small one. I ended up having so much batter, I had to call my silver fleet for backup. For baking, I'll place them in the oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 60 to 80 minutes. Since there's 4 different sizes of loaves, they'll all bake a little differently. The smallest ones will come out first. Then, once they pass the toothpick test, the larger ones will be done in about 10 to 15 minutes. They're a little darker than previous attempts, but my guess is that the molasses acted like tanning oil for the bread. Now that they're all out, I'll let them cool off on a baking rack and decide how to divvy them up. I'll eat one loaf for the upcoming week, give a couple away, freeze the majority, and eat one of them now. In the end, I don't think this is a new record, but overall this bread is so good and I'm so happy that I have many loaves for the upcoming winter. I really enjoy prepping a big batch when I get lots of zucchinis at the end of summer. Thank you!